Thank you, Dario. Good morning, everybody. Like Dario says, my name is Nigel Bazeley, Chief Product Manager of Prism Services. So this morning, I'm going to be taking you over what we're seeing in our data. So firstly, I'm going to talk to you about our database. So our database is broken down into 4 sections. Firstly, we have our main Prism database that currently contains over 16 million numbers. They're international revenue share fraud numbers that haven't yet been used to commit any sort of fraud or misuse. Next, we move on to our new numbers. So we break it down into the new numbers per update, and these updates are every 2 weeks. And that can range from between 200,000 to 1 million numbers in each update. And again, these are new numbers. And then also we have our MSRN database. We have roughly 55,000 compromised MSRNs. And these are subject hijacking. And obviously, if these are hijacked, then the customer doesn't receive their call. And then we've got our Prism wildcard database, where we take digits off to create a more range-based database, which can come in very handy. And again, these are candidates for international revenue share fraud. So then we move on to the growth in our database. Over the last 10 years, we've seen our data jump from 16,500 numbers to 16 million numbers. And you can see from 2019, the huge spike, which was about 400% increase, quite well timed with sort of COVID and people trying to probably make some money wrongly. Symmetry's used its database to help carriers and law enforcement identify and prove RSF cases, which has stopped them paying out unnecessarily and protecting their revenue, which is obviously a very important thing to do. And we've conducted 56 successful cases up to date. And then we move on to the change in terminating destinations. So we see there's the high-risk numbers that are changing on a regular basis, and we see that change every 2 weeks with our up-to-date data. And these new numbers, they're higher likelihood of being used for fraud than regurgitating old ones. Generally speaking, the old ones will have been blocked or detected and then blocked. And we, like I said, we measure our high-risk destinations based on the new numbers. And this is a map, a heat map, visualized representation. And you can see the column on the left is the total numbers within our database. Looks very different to our new number on the right-hand side database. So you can see it's more beneficial to use the new numbers for the high-risk destinations. It's not typically old-fashioned sort of, we've got this set of countries that are high risk. It's ever evolving, and we see that changing every 2 weeks, and we update our customers with that. So we can see from that. We've got 232 countries in our Prism database. This is a global problem. It's a big problem, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down as yet. Even with all the good work from the industry, it's unsuccessful as yet. And like I said, go back over, the risk profiles are changing every 2 weeks. We can see that, the data shows it, it's happening. And it's no longer a sound strategy just to block these numbers. We need some successful ways to monitor these. And that includes the ITU universal IPRNs and premium rate numbers. Moving on, so the industry's response. So until 7 years ago, almost 50% of RSF numbers terminated in just 12 destinations. Well, we seen earlier that we have 232, so it is increasing massively there. And the typical response was just to block them. Well, that's not a sensible move, given the fact that blocking destinations can deny access for our customers, genuine services. So, yeah, we don't think that's a good idea. CFCA and other global fraud surveys have identified that RSF is still a top fraud type, even though we know SMS is a big problem. We can see that voice is still up there, causing huge problems. And operators can lose up to $100,000 per undetected RSF incident. And that's a lot of money. Nobody wants to lose that sort of revenue. So it needs a successful, proven method to detect and stop this fraud from happening. And our database, like I've already said, is comprised of new numbers not yet being used for misuse. And then we've got some feedback from our customers, so you can see that that Prism is a successful product and does the job very nicely. Since we've put our MSRN ranges in, I've had no issues with preventing real calls. It's helped us reduce our fraud by approximately 25% in the last 3 months. That's a huge percentage, and I'm sure everyone would want those sort of results, and more importantly, to stop these fraudsters from committing this crime. And that is all for today. We do have more information, case studies, etc., on Prism, so if you'd like to carry on reading, then it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay here for just one question, if we may. You might want to use those mics.
We also have a question from online.
We have a question online.
Nicola, could you read it out, please?
Well, I'll go with my first question, which is probably the fastest, then we can get the online one. IRFS, tell us, for the one that don't know exactly, what is it? How does it?
International revenue share fraud using high-risk, vulnerable numbers to commit international revenue share fraud. So they're using these numbers from globally. In fact, it's not just UK to UK. I'm sure we're all aware. We all know in the industry about revenue share, voice fraud, SMS fraud, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem.
Big problem. Question online, if we can.
There's a question online from Fiona McGrath. I will read it word for word. Possibly a simplistic question, but by numbers, you are referring to MSISDNs or phone numbers only?
Sorry. Yeah. So terminating numbers. So yeah. And what was the rest of that? Sorry, interrupted.
No, that was basically it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I should have been more clear on that. Yeah. So they're the terminating destination numbers. Yeah, and we're still seeing big problems within our data on that.
Now, the last question from me, unless there's anybody else. No, I've seen a huge spike. So mature market voice really going on the up on the fraud side. Is that the simple summary?
Yes, in a nutshell, even with all the hard work, like I've said, that the industry's doing, it shows no signs of stopping. These fraudsters are committed to committing fraud and earning money from it, and the revenue loss is not acceptable. So, yeah.
That's good. So we'll come back. Thank you, and Nigel is going to be here with us, so we'll speak later. Thank you.